It is the last MUTV Group Chat of the week. Just 7 more days to go until United are in action again. Welcome, everybody. The lads have gathered once more. Wes Brown, Ben Thornley, Danny Webber, David May. Boys, how you doing? Everything okay?
Yes, Stu. Morning.
Are you ready? This is the end of our 11th week of this programme. Are you still going strong?
That's crazy, but yeah, it's good. Been good, Stu.
I love waking up with you, Stu.
Yeah, I know. Nice, isn't it? One bit of news I wanted to just run by you from yesterday. We talked about the Tottenham game in a week's time. Already we know Dele Alli suspended for that now after an unwise, should we say, social media post a few months ago. But could that be important straight away? Because he's an important player for Tottenham.
Psychologically, it could be. You know, he was the one who did well against us early on in the season, scored a decent goal. But psychologically, immediately you've got one of your big players out. When we've got all our players back, it could be something that, you know, you'd be disappointed with if you were one of the Tottenham players that he wasn't one to choose from.
Yeah, important player, Maisie, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah. It's probably three really good players there. Him, Son, and Kane, and one of them's missing. So Harry Kane's not played for a long time. We all haven't played for a long time, but yeah, it's a blow for them. But it's what we do, Stu, on the day.
Yeah, Kane hasn't played since the 1st of January. It'd be interesting to see if he's thrown straight in at Tottenham next week. Ben, would you expect that or not?
I do expect it, yeah. I certainly expect him and Son to be in the starting lineup. And along with Dele Alli, like the lads have already said, it's 3 of their real players that can make things happen. And Dele Alli is a bit of a blow to them, but it's good for us because whoever comes in to replace Dele Alli is obviously not going to be quite as good. So whether that'll change Ole Gunnar's thinking, I'm not too sure. But certainly Dele Alli missing is a big blow for Spurs and good news for us.
Yeah, it is good news for us. Hopefully everyone will be fit for United as well, including obviously Paul Pogba, including Rashford. Thanks for your reaction to yesterday's show, by the way, with Sammy Mack, Russell Bismore as well. Just a couple of bits from social media from your reaction, which I know you've seen this, Ben and Danny. One of them saying it actually looks like Ben and Danny were in the same room. And if you do look at it, it does look remarkably like the same room. If you look at the decor, you guys aren't in the same place, are you? After all these months?
The weather's different up here, mate. This room's a little bit lighter, I think. You know what
Oh, look, the decor looks very, very similar. This one as well. I've seen that dartboard behind David May so many times. Please throw a few darts, Maisie. Mate, can you do that before this show?
Before it's all over, yeah. I've got nothing on underneath, Stu, so yeah, my undercarriage is bare at the moment. I've only just got up. So, show me steady air on the TV.
Okay. We want to see you throwing some darts at some point anyway. And finally, this one as well. It was about Sammy Mack yesterday. Wish that had gone on a lot longer. Sammy was my favourite player of the mid to late 70s. Big Ron made a blunder, in my opinion, letting Sammy go. I actually drafted a letter to him as a kid protesting Sammy's transfer. His equaliser against Arsenal in the 79 final was unforgettable. That from Neil. It was a great guess. So thank you very much for some of your reaction. We've got loads of it. mutv@manunited.co.uk if you want to get in touch. Now on to our final guest of the week, someone we've wanted to get on the show from the very, very start. He had a brilliant career with United, 342 appearances, trophies galore, including 5 Premier Leagues. Delighted to say that Darren Fletcher joins us on Friday's group chat. Fletch, great to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you all doing?
Morning,
Well,
mate.
Fletch.
I think you know how Wes is doing because you've been speaking to him quite a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been involved in a little bit of foot golf. We've been involved in a little bit of online poker. So I sent him to bed early last night, so that's why he looks fresh.
No comeback.
Pretty true. That was true. No, that last night was good, but the foot goal, different story, Maisie.
Yeah.
Yeah, different story. I've not been beat yet. Anyway, in the main competitions, I've not been beat. I've retired. I'm going to retire for a bit.
Is it difficult? How difficult is foot golf?
It's harder than you think, but you can get used to it.
I hope you do social distance.
Yeah, we are. Wes, I'm second best, definitely. Wes is
There you go. There we go.
Can't believe
Well said,
that.
mate.
How have you been getting on, mate, anyway, with lockdown and homeschooling and all that sort of thing?
To be honest, my boys haven't needed much homeschooling. They get up and crack on with it, and they're interacting with their teachers. Obviously, me and my wife complement each other quite well. I'm not bad at like all your sciences and maths and things like that. I'm absolutely terrible at English, and that's where she excels. So we sort of dovetail nicely. But to be honest, the boys get up in the morning, they got a routine, they crack on, get their schoolwork done as quickly as possible, because that means that they can come and play foot golf with dad and play foot with dad in the garden. So, you know, there's a little reward for it at the end of the day, and they can get a few verbals off Wes as well when they hit a bad shot, when Wes is laughing at them and think that's good character building. It reminds me of my days at United under Maisie.
Tough love. It's got to be done.
That's what it's all about.
Have you basically had enough of it now, Fletch? Are you ready for actual football to start, as it is obviously imminently?
Oh, of course. Can't wait for the football to start again. I think everyone's had enough of it, but you know, it's crazy times, and we just want everyone to be safe, don't we? And we're doing the best we can. But I think everyone's ready now, and they're excited by football coming back. You know, I think everyone turned into Bundesliga fans when there was a few German games on. But no, the excitement around the Premier League's fantastic, and can't wait for it to be back. And obviously, because United are involved in the mix for an exciting end to the season, hopefully to get in the Champions League places. It's disappointing, really, because United were in form before the lockdown. Really, it probably hindered their run to the end of the season, because I think if it hadn't stopped, I feel like they would have definitely gone on and finished top four. Now there's a little bit of unpredictability behind it, but at the same time, I still back the boys to do it.
Because obviously we probably wouldn't have had Pogba and Rashford for those last few weeks of the season. Now we have. But then again, Tottenham have got Kane and Son probably. But I suppose it swings and roundabouts. But it's very rare you have a full squad to choose from, isn't it?
No, it is very rare, and how long that lasts all remains to be seen, with the amount of games that have not been played, and you know, the quick turnaround and things like that. I do expect a lot of injuries, and I hope, listen, fingers crossed, it doesn't happen to United players. But I think across the board, I think there'll be a rise in injuries, and players' minutes will have to be managed and things like that. Because it's all good and well doing lots of bits and pieces, even on a bike, spinning and that, keeping your fitness up, and you twist and turn and get into that match tempo. It's a big adjustment on your body, and they haven't had too much time to do that. But you know, these are all the challenges that are facing everyone, and everyone's in the same boat. So you know, that's the challenge that's out there for all the players and all the managers and all the clubs.
Can I ask you about United's midfield options? Obviously, you're a great midfielder for the club. We were discussing it on the show yesterday about the options that Ollie's now got. And a lot of people are focusing on whether Paul and Bruno will play together, can play together. But also you've got Matic, Fred, Tomine, who are all playing really well. But in terms of Pogba and Bruno, can you see them meshing?
Oh, of course, without a doubt. Great players can come together. Listen, somebody might have to sacrifice a little bit of something. That's part of being in a team. It's not an individual sport. So when you play with a certain midfield, whether it's a midfield three, you adapt your game to complement each other. It's like, that's what we had to do at United. You know, I was in a team with lots of different midfielders, lots of different combinations, and if a certain midfielder was playing, I would try and do something differently to take up positions, maybe to allow him to benefit, and he would do something that would allow me to benefit. So it's all about being compatible and recognising the strengths of your fellow teammates and how the best to get your best performance. But ultimately, sometimes you might be sacrificing yourself a little bit, what you do best, to allow somebody else to excel, which helps the team win.
I mean, everybody's been so happy with the impact of Bruno since coming in January. I suppose it's not easy to come from a different country, different league, and just shine straight away. I mean, what have you made of what he's done?
I think he's been fantastic. Listen, his ability is there for everyone to see. For me, it's been his personality and his attitude. He tries things. He tries difficult passes, but when he gives it away, it's his reaction after he does it. It's fantastic. The hunger to get the ball back. He doesn't throw his arms up in the air or sulk and moan. He's bossing people on the pitch. He's taking responsibility. He's looked like the epitome of a Manchester United player. He wants to be there. He wants the ball. He demands the ball. He's seeing Old Trafford as his theatre, like we've seen with so many great players, and he's relishing it. And he's sort of been a breath of fresh air with personality more than anything, which is which is what you need to play for Man United. Ability is not enough. You need personality to play for Manchester United, and he epitomises it.
Yes, because in that last Premier League game, he sort of did a bit of that to Guardiola, which I think everyone loved. Everyone loved it at United. It just shows you that little bit of edge, perhaps, that he's got.
Listen, you need that edge. Listen, it's 90 minutes. It's a battle. It's a war. You know, if we need to get back to that, but not a war, but do you know what I mean? We need to get back to that. In 90 minutes, you do everything you can to win. It's the enemy. It's the opposition. After the game, you laugh about things like that. I'm sure him and Pep laughed about it. But in that 90 minutes, I've seen it myself. You become a different person on the pitch. You know, you'd say anything to anyone. It's about winning the game, and everyone loves to see that. And I think that it's refreshing to see. I think we missed a little bit of that. You know, we don't get any Highbury tunnel incidents anymore. That's probably the closest we get. Is a little bit of shushing the fellow manager.
By the way, that was the best game I've ever seen live. You know, that game in the Highbury Tunnel game, 2005. It was absolutely sensational. Was that? I mean, you look. That was brilliant, wasn't it? As a game, as the 90-minute game, you just don't really get that sort of thing anymore, do you?
The game was unbelievable. Obviously, to be a part of it, Wes played as well. You know, and I was young at the time. Don't let me tell you, when it was all kicking off in the tunnel, I was well up the back. You know.
I was going to say that, Fletch.
Listen, it blew. And then when Vieira goes and scores from after about 10 minutes into the game from the first corner, you're thinking, oh, here we go. But 4-2, Shazy comes on and scores that goal where he's celebrating. That probably, for me, that was the real turning point in Ronaldo as well. It's the first time Ronaldo had scored 2 goals, and it seemed to be, kick-started a little bit of something for him. But everything to do with that game was fantastic. And the old Highbury as well, you know, what a great stadium, great atmosphere, tight pitch, and an unbelievable Arsenal team. Everything about it, you know, looking back, it's definitely one of the games that springs to mind for an unbelievable occasion for so many reasons.
Wes,
what were you up to in that tunnel when that was kicking off?
I was just ready. You just ready out, you see. That's all you can do. I know it sounds bad, but you just got to be ready. Keane's the leader, isn't it? So, as the lads know. So, you know, there's been a few different other occasions, but if it was going to kick off, we were all there, and that's all you got to do. At the same time, we're professionals.
It's kicked off before Arsenal United. Let's say we handled ourselves all right, didn't we, Wes?
We did, mate. We did.
Wes, who would you go to first? Who would have been your target? Winterburn?
Winterburn? Who got now? That's bad. That saying names, but there's possibly 2, but I won't say names.
Oh, can you give us a clue?
2. No, I can't.
What position? What position were they?
One's a defender. Yeah. One's a midfielder.
Ooh, he's gone for the big house, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
I was wondering, Fletcher. I mean, obviously Roy was in the heart of that, and that year, I think by the end of that year, he'd gone. But were you sad that he'd gone because he was such an inspirational? I mean, in the centre of midfield to play with him, it must have been brilliant.
Listen, everyone was sad that he went. He was an unbelievable player and captain, and somebody who helped me massively in my career. He was a massive influence on me. He'll be the first to tell you he was hard on me, but at the same time, I knew where it was coming from. It's because he wanted me to be better, and he was preparing me to be a Manchester United player for a long time and let me know what the standards were. You know, you think standards are high. Roy Keane's standards for what he expects of a Man United player are through the roof, and so I loved every minute of it. I was just absorbing it and learning as much as I could from a number of great midfielders and a number of great characters. Maisie will tell you, it wasn't easy coming in that dressing room as a young lad, but at the same time, that makes you, you know, that's part of the challenge of being a Manchester United player. You're around big egos, big characters, and lads who are used to winning, men who are used to winning. So when you're a young lad coming into it, yeah, they understand that you're a young lad and you need a little bit of time to adapt. But at the same time, you know, standards are high and you've got to get ready for it quickly, and they try and prepare you for that as best as possible in training and in the dressing room because they know you're going to experience it on the pitch.
I think you featured in Roy's MUTV video, which you've never seen. I think it's in a safe somewhere at MUTV, never shown by anybody. What was that? What was that like?
Well, listen, it was a strange time, really. Everything that went around it. I get mentioned in it, but I just seen it as Roy Keane. You know, you got to remember, Roy Keane was looking at performances and breaking down a game like a certain incident. So what he said in that, maybe talking about that player in that incident, got made into a headline and got made out to be worse than it was. I think a lot went on outside of the video that led to other things that happened. I don't think many of the players had too much of a problem with the video, but because we were used to Roy Keane. But I think that's different when it was maybe then being sent out into a public forum for the whole world to see. It's a shame how it ended, because he's such an unbelievable player. And as I said, I can only say that he was a massive influence on my career, and somebody who I bump into regularly when we're out walking the dogs, and I've got a lot of time for and a lot of respect for. And fantastic player. Learned so much from him, and still do, and love listening to him. We all love listening to him on TV because, you know, he's box office, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a young player trying to break into that midfield, we got him, Scholes, and it must have been difficult, but also an absolute education. And they're two of the greatest players we've ever had.
Well, that's what I say to people. My challenge was to try to break into a team with two of the greatest midfielders of all time in the Premier League, arguably. You know, so it's very difficult. And when they're not there and you play, you get held to their standard. That's the way it is. And at the beginning, well, listen, you never get to that standard because it's ridiculous. But at the beginning, it's difficult. But these are challenges of playing for Manchester United, and I knew that. And it's difficult at times, but you can break through that, no problem. But you say Roy Keane and Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, what a player! You know, Ron was there at the time, and all great players come in, but people forget how good Nicky Butt was. An unbelievable football player, and you know, I was just a pleasure to be around these players, watching from them, learning from them, competing against them every day. Definitely took my game to the next level, because you're playing against the best midfielders in the world every day. And I know it's been said many a time, but it is actually, the game's become easier because of the level of training and the intensity of training, and that on a smaller pitch as well. You're not talking about a full-size 11-11. We were playing 11-11s on half a pitch size. So you've got literally no time to think. The intensity's through the roof. But that was done with a purpose from the manager. You're playing at that level with all these great Man United players. You expand that to 11v11 on Old Trafford. You should have loads of time and space to do whatever you want with the ball.
Let me open it up to the lads, Maisie.
Fletch was a great lad. He was. I remember him and Wes coming in. Shy at the time. But as Fletch said there, as soon as you start getting into the dressing room, your personality comes out, your own personality comes out. The lads bring it out of you, because that's what makes a great dressing room. And nothing's ever said maliciously in a dressing room. It's all banter and all taking the mick out of each other. But there's always one goal at the end of it, is that when you cross that white line on a Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it is, that you're together. And Wes touched on it earlier on, you know. Wes had Keane back in the tunnel at Highbury. And that's what makes great teams. You've got to have that togetherness, that if somebody kicks you, you know that your 10 mates behind you are going to kick 10 bells of crap out of him. And that's that togetherness. And that's what gets, that's why Man United was so strong and so powerful in those years.
Go on, Ben.
Fletch, if I could take you back to what must have been a very worrying time during your career, was obviously your debilitating illness. And what sort of symptoms were you feeling at the time, and how soon was the diagnosis of what you actually had, and just how tough a time was it for you at that particular moment?
No, listen, the diagnosis was very, very, very quick. The call back did very quick. It actually came, and then it actually came and went within the space of a couple of weeks at the beginning. And then didn't come back again a couple of years later. That's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. And just a few different things happened at that stage. Just not getting on top of it as quickly as possible. But that was just trying to do it through diet rather than go to the hardcore medication straight away, and just try and do it from alternate diet, try it in a few different things. Maybe because of the impact that the strong medication would have on my body. But eventually it just become uncontrollable. For me, it was difficult because it just got progressively worse month on month on month. So in the beginning, it wasn't causing me too much of a problem, but I knew it was an issue. This is around about 2010, the beginning of the 2010-2011 season. It didn't really cause me too much of a problem until well into 2011, and then it got to the point where we had to decide something has to be done here. Is it football that's making me worse? Why the medication's not working? So we go down the route of taking a break from playing football to allow the medication to work. Ultimately, my illness had got to a point, it was uncontrollable, and I suffered for a good few years before I eventually took up the option to take the surgery. And people might say, why didn't you go for the surgery earlier? The surgery is life-changing, and potentially didn't go right, I would have struggled for a quality of life. I would have no chance to get back to the pitch. So I had to try all alternate medications, alternate medicines, all the medications available to me before I eventually went down to that route. And once I realised that nothing was working for me and I had nowhere to go, that's when I had to hold my hands up and go for the surgery, to not only to save my career, because people told me, listen, you'll never play again. It was to have a quality of life for the rest of my life, really, So, but while people were telling me that, all I could think about was getting back to playing. So even when people were telling me, listen, got no chance of playing again, it's going in one ear and out the other. And that's even people like Sir Alex Ferguson, who understood the illness and knew how bad it was telling me to get well for the rest of my life and for my family and for my kids. And I am listening to the boss like I always do, but it's probably the one time where I'm going, yeah, but I need to get back playing football, because I felt like I could, and I was just willing to give it every chance possible.
Sorry, go ahead, mate.
I'll go on, Stu.
I just want to, off the back of that, I was just interested to know how hard it was when it's your own private medical business, but you're in a public position because you're a Manchester United player. And obviously, eventually, you were public about it. I was just wondering how difficult that is, because it's your own business, but you're in a public profession, if you like.
Oh, it was very difficult, and the club were very sensitive to that, and the doc and the manager were very aware of that. And for me, at the beginning, nobody knew about it. Even my teammates, Wes will tell you, nobody knew what I had. And my problem was I think everyone thought it would get under control very, very quickly, and I wouldn't have to say much. But the problem was it kept prolonging, and then you go to the next stage of medication, some say, oh, this one will work, you'll be fine. So it got to the point where nothing was, so I was constantly, lying to people. Like, people could clearly see how ill I was, and I was missing for a long time, and I wasn't around, and that was becoming more of a burden on me than anything, was like telling people, like, oh, I'm just not feeling well, and not really saying what I had. I didn't have a problem with it. Listen, I know my illness comes with embarrassing things to talk about, losing blood and rushing to the toilet and things like that. I know the symptoms are not great and they're not nice to talk about. But for me, I was finding it more of a burden, carrying around, not telling people honestly what I had. You've got to remember, people have their own problems in their own life, and people are concerned about you, but they very quickly, show you sympathy, and then they've got their own problems, they're living their own life, and they quickly forget about you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just the way life is. So the best thing that I did was, let it be known what I'm suffering from, and that was such a relief off me and a burden off me. And then people knew if they seen me down or looking ill, they knew the reasons why. I didn't have to explain it to them. And the positive effect of it, the impact that I had on young kids' lives and people's lives. And I speak to people daily who tell me, you're an inspiration to my son, my daughter, my uncle, my auntie. I'm speaking to people constantly. And all of a sudden, by me revealing that I had ulcerative colitis, people are aware of it. It's a Premier League player who plays for Manchester United. People had never even heard of the illness. And off the back of me coming out, thousands of people are suffering in the UK and all over the world. And they can easily go to school. Young kids can go to school and say, I've got the same illness as Darren Fletcher. And that was such a relief to them. So something good came off the back of it.
Yeah. Fletch, so knowing what you know now, you've been through your whole career, illness aside, what would you say to your younger self who just joined Manchester United?
To my younger self,
what advice would you give to your younger self?
Probably listen, try not to rush back from injuries and illness so quick, and but no, I still think you could practice more. Unbelievable career, but I still think you could. There's always more you can do. You can always get better. You can always practice more, and that And listening to advice. When I was younger, I was so desperate to make it. I was playing with like broken foots and things like that, and setting myself back so much, and desperate to make it and get that chance in the first team that I was playing injured all the time and suffering setback after setback. So I missed a lot of development at those ages. But the manager always says every time I see him, it's practice, 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 practice. He reiterates it all the time. And even though I had a good career, I think you're always capable of more. So I think it's a case of, you can't never practice as much. You can always improve your game. You're still learning even when you're into your 30s. I learned so much as I got older in my career and probably became a better player. It's just that physically able to do it. So I think it's a message to young players is you never stop learning, you never stop getting better, because there's no limit to what you can achieve.
Yeah.
Wes?
Yeah, Fletch, I think I've told you this before, but I sort of always see you as a coach and manager. What's going on with that? How are you doing with your badges and stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to. This has been it's disrupted it because obviously I was cracking on with my A license and completing that, and this is obviously slowed that down a little bit. But that's the path I want to go down. Wes, I'm quite calm about it though. I don't want to rush into anything because I want to prepare myself for that life, that crazy life, and that intensity of coaching and management, and the impact it'll have on my family life, and also getting that progression away from a player, which I found really difficult. I found not playing really, really difficult, and it's still, even when I'm coaching, I still think I can still play and I should still be doing that. So I'm not myself in playing yet, and I think that's going to stop me progressing in coaching. So I'm getting slowly, but I'm quite happy to take my time in doing that, because if I rush into it, still physically capable of playing, I will still think I can play. I can play. I might end up joining in training or trying to make a comeback or do something silly like that and end up really regretting it. So I need to get my mind completely away from playing football before I can really progress on that next stage.
And I'm just going to put you on the spot quick, because I know you still speak to most of the lads. Best friend teammate.
Oh my God. Best friend teammate, you can't ask.
Yeah, I can.
No, listen, I'm quite a private guy. I'm not a loner as such, but listen, I still speak to the lad, but I'm not in constant contact. We're in group chats, there's no way that. The two I see the most is you and Wazza, so it's probably a tie between you two, to be perfectly honest.
I'll take that. Okay, I'm just seeing, that's all.
Don't worry, Wes, you're up there.
Just on that point, Fletch, I know this is a difficult one. What about the best player you played with?
Listen, as always, Scholesy springs to mind. He was an absolute joke. I know everyone says it, but Scholesy was an absolute joke. Day in, day out. His football brain was on another level to everyone else. His touch, his awareness. You can talk about physical athletes and things like that. Listen, I'm not saying Scholesy wasn't an athlete, but it wasn't his biggest strength. But his brain and his touch and his footballing ability was next level. And I think everyone says it. He was an absolute joke. But it's hard to say because I played with so many, obviously Cristiano. Listen, the team was full of world-class players. It's so unfair to pick one. But for being a midfielder, and then listen, I couldn't have had, as we said before, I couldn't have had any better than the two that I came into the team beside, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes. It doesn't get any better than that for a number of reasons, but Scholes, he was just an absolute joy to watch and play beside, and trying to get near him in training. Listen, when you had a good day against Scholes in training, where you think to yourself, listen, it didn't happen very often, but slightly maybe got him there today. But you felt 10 feet tall, because you think to yourself, this guy's a joke, because the rest of the time he would humble you because you couldn't get near him.
What about the best moment? You've won loads of everything, basically. What was the one? If you had to absolutely pick one thing, one moment or medal?
No, listen, the first time we won the Premier League, I think it was 2006-07. When I came to the team, first season was the Arsenal Invincibles. We didn't win the league. Then we had 2 years in Mourinho's Chelsea. So my first 3 seasons, United didn't win the league, and that's unheard of. And there was a little bit of pressure, there was a little bit of unrest building. So that first Premier League for me, 2006-2007, was a catapult for a big period of success for probably our next Alex Ferguson team, so to speak. So that was massive. And listen, I won the FA Cup in my first season, which was a special moment. But Man United's about Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, and just off the back of the first 3 seasons that I played in the first team, we hadn't won the league. And listen, for me, I felt like not the bar had been risen, but Arsenal Invincibles was the first season, and Mourinho's Chelsea came in and put the points total to a real next level. So there was a challenge there for Manchester United, and it was in the period where you could see Alex Ferguson was developing another team. So there was a little bit of a transition going on. So that one felt big for me. And listen, your first Premier League medal, it doesn't get much better than that.
After that little spell from 2006, 8 and 9, Rooney and Ronaldo at their pomp, and how good, that was fantastic to watch. Unbelievable. You used to just go to games knowing we were going to win. What was it like to be involved in that little spell?
That was unbelievable to be involved in, because we were battling for right to the latter stages of Champions Leagues and the league, and we were battling on all fronts with a massive squad and some great players. And as you say, the attacking players that we had were a joy to watch. Our job was just to supply them the ball, do a little bit of extra running for them to allow them to excel. All these little things, make sure we were solid defensively, get the ball to those players, break the lines. The managers used to say, penetrate as quickly as possible, make teams defend, put them on the back foot, get the ball to those players as quickly as possible and let them go and win the game. And what can we do around that to support them and make sure their job's easier in terms of on the defensive end? But listen, it was a joy to watch. And Wes will tell you what an unbelievable dressing room we had, the interaction we had, the team spirit we had, the banter we had, how we socialised together playing. Wes has spoke about it, PSP, SOCOM, poker at my house, FIFA, PlayStation. It was a next generation of players who did different things, and we were all sort of best mates who come together. Listen, we still had the godfathers there, the class of 92 lads who probably a few times had to tell us to be quiet a little bit. But we were the young, exuberant life and soul of the dressing room at that point. It became not our time, but we were a big part of it. The older lads were probably like, I am now as a dad telling the kids to be quiet and, give us some peace while I read my book and have my coffee and things like that. But it was a great dressing room, a great bunch of lads to be a part of, and we all had each other's backs. And listen, if I could go back, that's what I missed the most, was the day-to-day at Carrington, all the things we used to be doing, the level of training, the banter in the morning, the dressing room, everything. If I could go back and have a day, I would swap it for anything. It was an amazing time.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, my memory don't fail me, but I think the gaffer might have mentioned you in his retirement speech on the pitch at Old Trafford after the Swansea game. Was it the last game, last home game? That must have meant, I know you obviously had been unwell at the time, but that must have meant a hell of a lot. He didn't mention everyone, did he?
No, he didn't. That probably doesn't help the fact that everyone says he's my dad or my grand. But anyway. The gaffer's son. No, listen, that was at the stage where I was literally getting ready to go for my last surgery of 4, and it was my life-saving surgery, and the boss had been in constant contact. And this was that I couldn't go that day, and the boss invited my kids to go along and collect my medal. It was an unbelievable gesture. The boys were only small. We brought them to collect my medal and to be around and get pictures with the trophy and be in the dressing room and that. And I was blown away. I was sat on the couch with my dad, couldn't believe it, that in that moment he would have taken the time to mention to me, which is just, people want to talk about the greatness of Sir Alex Ferguson. It's the small things like that people can never understand. It's more than just a football manager. He's a father figure, an inspiration to everybody. And it's these small little things that go so far that people will never understand. It's not all about tactics on the pitch and things like that. It's a big part of it. These small details are just as important, and Sir Alex Ferguson epitomises that.
Obviously, things changed after he went. Obviously, was it tough to leave in the end? Because when you left, you played every week, I think, for West Brom for about 3 years. But was it tough to actually go?
No, because for a number of reasons, I wasn't the same player, so you have to accept that. I didn't want to become a burden to Manchester. Not a burden, but I didn't want to become a good guy in the dressing room, an experienced player, somebody who knew the club and could be a good guy in the dressing room, play limited game time. I really wanted to show that I could still be a Premier League player and play week in, week out. And the club had changed as well. It wasn't the same Manchester United, so that made it easier to leave. So for a number of reasons, it was the right time to go. And I don't regret the decision to go, because I wasn't a Manchester United player anymore. Physically, I wasn't a Manchester United player anymore. And thankfully, I could go on and show that I was still a good Premier League player with West Brom. And as you say, I played 96 games, all the Premier League games in the 2.5 years that I went there. So it was an unbelievable run, and I enjoyed every minute of it and loved it. And it was a great new challenge. And it was great for me to experience something away from Manchester United, because it made me realise that everything isn't Manchester United. You know, a lot of other things go on at a lot of more dynamics go on at other football clubs. You're in a different dressing room not around Manchester United players. So I experienced a lot of different things that will probably benefit me more, and hopefully my career, if I go into coaching and management, I'll probably learn more away from Manchester United in a weird way, because Manchester United was almost run to perfection by Sir Alex Ferguson. That sometimes it's good to realise that you don't get the same characters in the dressing room, you don't get the same level of player. There are a lot of different dynamics going at other clubs. And that's not being disrespectful to West Brom or Stoke or where I went, because West Brom was a fantastic club and I loved every minute of it. And turning around from when I went there and working under Tony Pulis into the position the club were in when I left, you know, I had a fantastic period there and still have a great relationship with a number of people at the club and made some great friends, and I got a lot of time for it. So listen, I'm happy to move on, and felt like it was the right decision, and don't look back with any regrets.
That's before Fletch goes. You got anything else for him?
No.
Need a trim.
I know, yeah.
How's the golf, Fletch?
No, shocking, Maisie. I've not been out for ages. I need to get back into it.
Are you better than Wes? He thinks he's a bit of a player.
At golf, Wes
Yeah.
has got no chance.
Ginger Woods, Fletch, come on, man.
Nah.
Come
Where's
on.
it golfer? Where's it? It's easy money, Maisie. Put as much money as you want on, you'll take it all off him.
Oh, Ginger Woods. Come in.
Ginger, no, Maisie, you'll beat me. I play off 24, mate.
What?
24.
He's not allowed on the golf course with you, Maisie.
Finally, Fletch, something we have asked everybody, just pretty much everybody, this ex-players, for a six-a-side team of players that you played with at United. You can be in it, obviously, but six-a-side.
Six-a-side, so you've got to have a goalkeeper and 5 outfield.
You could have a fly keeper if you want.
Daisy fly goalie.
Shazy fly goal. Rio. Can't put Rio fly goalie after his dive.
I went Rio. Fly goalie.
Fly goalie? Nah, I'm not having fly goalie.
Okay.
That's why you put me on the spot. This is hard.
Sorry, I know it's tricky.
So we're just going to say it now? Or are you going
to... go for it.
Yeah.
Good help.
Right, I'm going to go Edwin and goal. Going to go Rio. Scholesy.
Great.
3 more. Ronaldo. Plaza. Giggsy.
That's similar, you know, to everyone's team, isn't it?
Pretty good.
You've got to have Giggsy in your team. Like, absolute joke. And an angry Giggsy as well. Listen, that was... Giggsy was an unbelievable player, but see if he had a little bit of edge on him and he was angry. Unplayable. Couldn't get near him.
Unbeatable. Mate, listen, we've taken up so much of your time, but really, honestly, been great fun. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome, and good to see all the lads. And as I said, I have been that bored. I have been tuning in, watching you most.
You must have been really bored. All right. Well, listen, if you want to get in touch, mutv@manunited.co.uk, and we will be back again next week. See you Monday. See you, lads. Take care.
See you later. Nice one, Fletch.
Good.